Okay, what was that? Hello, my wonderful viewers, and welcome to another episode of Betty Adams Overanalyzes. Today we are going to take a spoiler-free look at Kaiju number 8, chapter 114. This chapter has turned so many of my assumptions just on their head. Things I was assuming about Kaiju number 9. Things I was assuming about what Matsumoto was and wasn't willing to do with his main characters. But another thing that this chapter did was it really illustrated to me how much Matsumoto is the master of show, don't tell. In many Shonen Jump mangas, the main character has that never say die attitude. The attitude that keeps the main character and various secondary characters fighting to the end, no matter how high the odds are stacked against them, no matter how bad things look. The main character just keeps fighting, even if the more tactically wise thing to do would be to retreat, even if they're obviously going to die anyway and there's no point to it. The main character keeps fighting. Now, if you look back across the story, no one's ever said that about Mina. And yet, when we saw her way back in chapter, would have been 30 or 31, right before the big reveal, Mina's standing there. They've defeated Kaiju number 10. She's used up all of her ammo. And there is now a giant Yoju bomb just hovering over the base. And Mina immediately springs into action. This is a terrifying situation. And everybody in that group of officers, Mina, Hoshina, and even Kokoru, knew on a fundamental gut level that they weren't making it out of there alive. And Kokoru just froze. She's a newbie. She's exhausted. Hoshina is just standing there gritting his teeth, tactically trying to choose the best option, but for all intents and purposes, he's frozen too. But Mina acts. She acts instantly and with decision. She thinks of the resources at her disposal, and she calls up headquarters and control and says, "Get me this weapon to this position." Now, it was entirely pointless. The weapon would never have made it there in time. Even if it had, the only thing it could have possibly done was blown up the Yoju bomb sooner. But the point is that Mina was on her feet, acting instantly, no matter how bad the odds were. Her job is to kill Kaiju to make the world safer, and she's going to do that no matter what it costs her, even if the odds are stacked against her. Now, in most manga, somebody would have pointed this out about the main character. Either the wise old mentor when talking about him, or the friend musing over this in combat. But even though Mina could be considered a deuteragonist, she's not the main character, but she's one of the main cast. No one's ever said that about her. Matsumoto just shows us again and again throughout the series that Mina is the kind of person who keeps fighting no matter the odds. She is not, like Hoshina, a brilliant tactician who considers everything, but that means she never gets paralyzed. She's not, like Kokoru, such a powerhouse, but with one focus and when her main weapon gets gone, she's paralyzed. Mina is a generalist. She can fight with her sidearms, she can fight with her big guns, and she's active, constantly proactive, reacting to what's in front of her, making decisions on the go. She does not have Narumi's tactical genius. And here we have the main reason why Narumi is the captain of the 1st Division, while Mina is only the captain of the 3rd Division. Narumi has a much higher ability to analyze the battlefield and make the best possible, most tactical choice. But this takes time. This takes analysis. You put Narumi and Mina on the field, Mina will be acting first. Mina will be acting faster. She might not make the perfect choice, but she will be acting on the battlefield. And in a situation where it's not always possible to do the best thing, that level of activity is profoundly valuable. And I don't think it's a spoiler to say that we see that really illustrated again in this chapter. But it's not the main point of the chapter. It's just one of these tiny little side things that makes this world feel so whole, to make you feel that you could step off the main screen, step around the corner, and you'd still find half-eaten noodles sitting in the ramen shop. It's one of the things that makes this world feel so real, is that all the characters act and react in line with their established behavior patterns. We have a very clear idea of who each person is and how they would react in a given situation. So when something good happens to or for Reno, he turns around and immediately wants to share this with Kafka. And we expect to see him do that. And when he does do it, it makes the world feel just that little bit more whole and complete. Now, when you take all of this world building that Matsumoto has so lovingly poured into this story, when you understand that for all the characters that we know and love, we understand basically how they're going to react to any given situation. When we are faced with a new character with new motivations, it becomes absolutely terrifying because we're taken off of our map of understanding of the situation. Yes, we know how Mina's going to react. She's going to fight. We know how Reno's going to react. He's going to be happy at Kafka's successes and is going to fight like the dickens to make sure that happens. But when you put an unknown factor into a known situation, it's way better than a plot twist, because it is perfectly natural and normal in the logical course of a story for new elements to be added, especially if they're added in a logically consistent way. Up to the point that the new element is added, you know basically where the story is going. Then you add a logical new element, and because the characters are so consistent, you can trust the creator that this character will be consistent as well. And you know roughly how the others are going to react in the situation, but you now have no idea how this one character is going to react. So you're faced with this giant question mark. Where you thought you knew where it was going, you now have no idea. But again, it's not a plot twist, but the concept is the same. To create tension in a story, the creator makes a pattern. He gets you used to things. We know how Mina will react in a dangerous situation. We know how Kafka's going to react in a dangerous situation. We know roughly how Reno and Aiharu and Pretty Boy and Military Guy are going to react in a given situation. Matsumoto has spent over 100 chapters building up these expectations. So what do you do once your audience knows the pattern? Once your audience is confident that they know how these characters are going to respond, you change the situation. And they are now responding to something totally new. But they're doing it in a familiar way. So you have a pairing of the familiar and the unfamiliar. And this chapter just really, really illustrates that writing concept. Take what people know and are confident in and put it in a situation where they don't know. What do you think, my wonderful viewers? What did you take away from this chapter? Was it Mina's bold, never say die attitude and Matsumoto's ability to show us things without telling them? Matsumoto's confidence in the intelligence and perception of the audience, that he doesn't have to have one character say to another character, "That's the great thing about Captain Ishiro. That's why she is the Kaiju Defense Force Golden Girl that they put up on all the posters. She will always be out in the front lines making decisions and taking action." No one has to say that. We see it. Matsumoto shows us. But what do you think, my wonderful viewers? Tell me what you think in the comments below. Hit that like and subscribe button, and peace out, my wonderful viewers.
Escape into another world with the writings of author Betty Adams. Two worlds, one of utter absurdity, one of dramatic tension, both alike in aliens absolutely astounded by human behavior. Humans are weird, short, absurd science fiction stories. Flying sparks, dragons, aliens, and things that go boom in the night.
Books available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo by Rakuten, Google Play Books, and at authorBettyAdams.com for a signed copy.